event activity, and I think General Walsh was the actually tour guide as some of our staff were out of office. And for those that, from what I hear, the feedback was fantastic. So this brand new building will have a grand opening in January, the first week of January. So for those that are here in San Antonio and have the benefit of attending that grand opening event, I think you'd be very pleased with what we have here. So we have Nathaniel, and it looks like we have Benji and Jonathan are actually handing out these Sombria magazines because there's really good articles in here. So please grab one and read it at your leisure. Today we do have an esteemed panel from UTSA and MITRE organization and the SAGE organization. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Start off with Greg, Dr. Greg White.
Thank you, Richard. I'm Greg White. I'm a professor of computer science at the University of Texas at San Antonio, and I'm the director for the Center for Infrastructure Assurance and Security.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Vaughn. I'm a cybersecurity engineer working with MITRE, currently here in the San Antonio office that we have. I'm, for lack of a better word, I'm a lab rat. I do a lot of the ones and zeros inside lab work. I've been working at HNCO for a little bit, and I'm currently involved with UTSA in their Project Xander initiative, which we'll talk about a little bit further. Further along in the presentation today.
And Ryan is a graduate from UTSA cyber program, correct? Or
yes, I'm a master's grad, Birds Up, UTSA alum, and we'll continue the line here.
Mari.
Hi, my name is Mariela Uzuna. I'm the Chief Innovation and Technology Officer at a nonprofit organization, a community-based organization called San Antonio for Growth on the East Side. We support small businesses, nonprofits, and the community of the east side of San Antonio. In my role as the Chief Innovation and Technology Officer, I oversee the selection of different software and hardware resources that help us do the work that we do. As a nonprofit organization, like everyone else over the past couple of years, we've adopted new technology very quickly. And I'm excited to be able to talk to you about our journey over the past few years and our partnership and our participation in the Project Xander program.
Hi, my name is Lauren Hernandez. I'm currently a senior at UTSA studying computer science with a concentration in cybersecurity. I had the opportunity to work with MITRE for Project Xander for 2 semesters.
Thank you, Lauren. And even though I'm wearing a Texas A&M Aggie ring here, I'm also a student. I just completed my master's in data analytics and now taking my PhD in cyber analytics and artificial intelligence. And so what we have up here is really knowledgeable people that really contribute to the ecosystem that the National Security Collaboration Center participates in. And just quickly, I actually have a calendar of events. Every Thursday, we put on a collaboration day. Next Thursday, for those that are here in San Antonio, and if you go to our booth and give us your information, I will send you an invitation. Next Thursday is going to be a venture capitalist firm called Generator, and our speaker will be Amanda Kimmerer. So she is the local representative that helps incubate companies that are starting up or have already started and trying to help them find funding and their way into the workforce economy here in San Antonio. Again, if you do not have one of these Sombria magazines that really details a lot of things that are going on, please pick one up at our booth. Take a look at our booth that we actually have information about the different technologies. It's not just cybersecurity. There's 19 different technologies that we facilitate and catalyze in research, academic workforce development, and also opportunities for our students, educational, find their pathways into the workforce. I know for a fact that those 3 students back there are probably looking to be hired by one of your companies. So go back there and talk to them and see what they're all about. Without further ado, I'm going to turn the program over to Dr. Greg White, who will talk a little bit about the programs at the CIAS Center there. Greg, it's all yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, what I wanted to talk about today for just a couple minutes, and Richard, I promised Richard I wouldn't take too long because he knows I'm passionate about this subject and I could talk about this for hours, but you know, time is getting late, so I'll keep it short. What I wanted to talk about was a specific NSA grant that we have right now to develop materials to help communities establish a whole community cybersecurity program. And why a whole community? Well, if you think about a community and what makes up a community, everybody in that community, every citizen, every small business, nonprofit organizations, larger organizations, larger businesses, everybody in that community is a target for cybersecurity attackers. DHS has got a number of resources, a lot of resources out there for communities, states, and communities. They've got, CISA has got a whole slew of assessments, for example, that you can request to have individuals come out and do an assessment for you. They have training courses to teach people how to do it themselves. The FEMA side of DHS, the National Cybersecurity Preparedness Consortium, has got a number of classes that people can take for free. The problem with the situation that exists now in the nation is that a lot of people are kind of depending on the states and the state guard, or they're depending on DHS, national level, to come and save them if there's a large cybersecurity event. And that ain't going to happen. That's just flat out, it's not going to happen. And those wonderful assessments I mentioned that CISA is offering. I was at a briefing earlier this week by an individual in the office, and they said if you request today for one of their more technical assessments, it's right now a 2-year waiting list. There are over 30,000 municipalities in this country, both incorporated and unincorporated. There is no way in the world that the DHS, CISA, or the National Guard units in each state, or the states themselves, can get to them. We, as a community, have to be prepared to address cybersecurity on our own. Why do we need to? I mentioned everybody's a target. I had a couple students do some research a few years ago. They created this honey community. Basically, we wanted to see what kind of activities were going on, what kind of attacks were taking place in the community. They created this fake community, and they had 5 different sectors represented there, so you could pay your your utility bills, or go see what your kids are doing in school, or a number of different things, 5 different sectors. And plugged it in, gathered a bunch of data, unplugged it, and we did an analysis on the data. And I'll keep it short. This could talk for an hour just on the study, but to keep it short, what we found was that there were 45% of the activity that was going on. Now remember, this is a fake community. In theory, nobody should be looking for this because there was no such community in the state of Texas. So anybody who was touching it, chances were like 99% that it was someone who was trying to do something nefarious. Yes, there's a possibility someone might have just stumbled onto it, and we took that into account. But 45% of the activity that occurred during that time that we monitored it was activity that would not have normally been noticed in a community using normal defaults that you use, normal level. For example, nobody alerts on one user ID password failure. Nobody alerts on one high level of ports, just trying to connect to some funny numbered port. We don't do that. We would be alerting on things all day long. But if you see that occurring across the community at a number of different organizations, same user ID password combination for this organization, then this organization, then this organization, that paints a whole completely different picture. That's obviously something that's going on. That's not a user that just mistakenly typed their password or their user ID. 45% of the activity that occurred during that time period that we were looking at was a kind of activity that would not normally have been noticed because of the normal thresholds that we set. That's significant. So communities need to be, looking at what's going on. We conducted a number of cybersecurity exercises. Yay, San Antonio, we were the first ones in San Antonio to do a community cybersecurity exercise. That was 2 decades ago that we did the first one, in 2002. We did a number of exercises across the country for states and communities, and made a lot of people aware of what was going on and what could be done in a community. We had a problem though. We made a mistake. We didn't recognize this until about a year after we started doing these, because we go in to do a community exercise. We'd and by the way, when we say a cybersecurity exercise, we told folks to leave their IT people home. I don't want the IT people there. I want the mayor, I want the city manager, chief of police, head of your EOC. And we were very successful at getting those levels. We had, at state level, we had governors that showed up to do an in-brief and tell everybody why the governor thought that this was important for the state. So we're very successful at getting the leaders to come to these. And after the event, every time, you know, it made the individuals open some eyes, and they were now aware of that cybersecurity was something they needed to be worried about. And then we'd shake hands and go on to the next community. The problem was when we went back a year later and checked with those communities, they still recognized that there was a problem, but they hadn't done anything. Because we thought, mistakenly, this is our big mistake, we thought that just by opening some eyes, people would naturally be able to then jump in and do something or whatever. But that's not going to happen. There's more vendor products, there's more services, there's more things out there that they could look at, and people offering them different things than they knew what to do with. So we took a step back and we created this thing called the Community Cybersecurity Maturity Model, which is designed to help communities. What do you need to do first? What can you do second? And oh, by the way, communities have no money. So don't expect them to put a lot of money against whatever it is. So everything that you do in this plan, when you start this program off, has to be no and low cost. So that's what this NSA grant is designed to do, is to help us. And we've got San Angelo, so those of you who are from Texas may know where San Angelo is. San Angelo was our pilot community. In the first year, things went very, very well up in San Angelo. We're now, we've got Baton Rouge. I was out speaking to the mayor 2 weeks ago at Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is going to be implementing it this next year, as well as we're not sure if it's going to be Casper, Sheridan, or Lyman, Wyoming, a smaller community. So we're doing something bigger than San Angelo and something smaller to test to see if the materials are usable by larger communities and by smaller communities, because we want, bottom line, what NSA wants, they want everybody, every community in the country to be starting their own cybersecurity program. That's the goal. A key element of that program is academia. There's a number of different things that will help communities with. Sponsor Cybersecurity Day, start your own information sharing and analysis organization, have a gap analysis, do a cybersecurity gap analysis. There's a number of different things that will go in and will help the community with to get their program going. But academic, if there's an academic institution within the community, that's a tremendous resource that the community can use and rely on. So we've got a program to help the academic institutions become involved in their communities. And what we're really excited about, and is also very important, is involving the K through 12 community. Cybersecurity is everybody's business, and you can't wait till people get to college or they get to their profession to start cybersecurity, training or making them aware. You have to start it early. Now, age-appropriate cybersecurity, but K through 12. As a matter of fact, we've got a K through 12 cybersecurity specialist with us here today, which I'd like to welcome Alan Cybear, who is part of the Cybear family, and his whole family is aimed at basically helping kids in grades K through 12 learn more about age-appropriate cybersecurity. But Alan showed up today to say hi to us and to say hi to you folks as well. Welcome, Alan. So we'll say thank you, Alan, for coming by today. We appreciate it. Earlier, hopefully some of you I know got your picture taken with Alan. If you want your picture taken, you better do it real quick, because I think Alan's got an appointment elsewhere that he's going to be going to. But let's give him one more round of applause here and say thanks to Alan for showing up. But all kidding aside, K through 12, we need to get it started. And Alan is, for all of those of you who remember Smokey and remember McGruff, Alan's the cyber version of Smokey and McGruff. He's going to be out there to tell kids that they could take a bite out of cybercrime. And he and his family are going to let people know and kids know that they have a responsibility to help prevent cyber wildfires. And so that's the purpose of good old Alan. His calendar is already filling up. His daughter will hopefully be making an appearance at some point here in the near future as well. So we'll have the entire family. but that's real important. Now, one of the projects, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to introduce, and I'm going to pass the baton here, is we have a project that we've introduced at UT San Antonio called Project Xander. And Project Xander, I'll just give the elevator pitch on that, and we're going to hear some more about it. But Project Xander is designed to have college students conduct cybersecurity assessments on organizations within the community. We're focusing in San Antonio on nonprofits, because nonprofits are basically generally entities that don't have a lot of money for cybersecurity. They probably don't have a cybersecurity professional. They may not even have an IT professional on the staff. These are folks that can use help. They are also folks that are a target. Nonprofits are increasingly becoming targets of cyber attacks. And for all of us who are citizens here in San Antonio, it behooves us to worry about that, because we're giving, a number of those nonprofits got our credit card numbers because we've made donations. I'd like to think that those nonprofits are, maintaining my information in a secure manner. So the students are going out and conducting assessments on these entities. And what's really exciting, and we haven't done it here in San Antonio, but I'm really excited about this portion of Project Xander, is we're pushing it down into the high school level as well. And we're going to get, right now we've had we have another, Project Xander is not just UTSA, there's a number of universities that are beginning to look at this across the country. And we have a county in Virginia, their independent school district, actually their high school conducted, they had 3 assessments done by high school students this summer, and they're doing some more this fall. And this is really exciting, because once again, we're trying to push it down as far as we can, get students at that high school level, maybe even, further, with things like competition and card games and some of these other things, to get them excited at an earlier age, so that when they get to college, we can maybe start filling some of those 700,000 open positions that everybody's talking about. So I'll stop talking now, and if you have any questions on any of these projects, please come up and see me.
Yeah, and that leads it on to me. Thank you again for kind of explaining a little bit more about the whole UTSA, NSCC, further great to have Alan stop by. Again, just a little bit about me. I'd performed security risk assessment, specializing in ICS and SCADA. However, I also transferred over to IT systems for a little bit, performing security risk assessments before I'd even heard about Project Xander. However, the main objective is I would say 3 main points. One of them is for the students to be able to have the opportunity to gain real world experience on understanding, hey, if you want to be a red teamer, it's not all going to be, flames and fuses. It's going to be policy. It's going to be understanding different compliances that maybe a small, faith-based organization may have to follow, or, whether or not there are legal implications for holding whatever type of information that that organization has for the students. The second point is to allow the community of San Antonio and the other places that Xander is currently associated with to be able to have an outlet to, at the very least, know where to start. A lot of organizations don't even know their, like I remember there was a great panels so far, all of today, but it's, asset management and understanding what's on your system. A lot of, faith-based organizations like churches or charity organizations may not even know their infrastructure, let alone, know how to secure it. But it gives a good, jumping point off. And as the third part, it helps the all of kind of UTSA, all of the community, all of the students, and also the mentors that are currently jumping in to be able to collaborate with not only all the other mentors for the students, but also gain a little bit of insight on maybe where the students are in their educational levels, or the understanding where or how to perhaps create your own training materials for your organization if you're planning on bringing in students that are at this level. And that's kind of the Project Xander idea. The next portion is also trying to keep it as cost-friendly as possible. As probably a lot of people here would know, I can perform a security risk assessment on your organization and give you a list of 60 things to fix, and maybe the organization, or for this case, nonprofits and religious-based organizations, says, we can fix 2 things on this list every year. So it's trying to work within those boundaries of the amount of money they want to throw into their specific subject, or the manpower that they have, or perhaps uprooting some of their network, so to speak, of their organization to try to better secure not only themselves, but the people that they support. And what I am currently involved with is I create lab space that's based primarily on open source and civilian tools that everyone can go and grab, and we utilize all of those basic tools that if you think about a tool, it's like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a house, but you can also use a hammer to put a hole in someone's head. So the same tools that a lot of these adversaries may be using are the same tools that you'll find within the Kali suite or the Parrot OS, these Linux-based operating systems that are very much well known in the security realm. It's just maybe students don't know how to teach themselves, which is another subject pertaining to the university as well. It's when you graduate, that's not a one and done. You have to keep up with maybe the SANS Newsbite newsletters, keeping up with CVEs, keeping up with, how you're going to be able to, perform your duties as a security auditor effectively. And that goes in with us and the students, training them on the very much open source tools, very much freeware that, is very base bones, but there's a lot you can do with so little. And it's teaching the students how to build their own, sandboxed lab at home that they can not only, continue their education with, but also perhaps teach one of their other friends in another class that they may, have learned something on our end by actually learning the ones and zeros of, what it's like to actually talk to a real organization. And speaking about real organizations, we actually have a real organization right here, and a student that is currently went through the program for 2 semesters now, and we've actually had resounding I don't want to say praises, but at the very least success with the reach out or the outreach to the community and also to the students. And I'll actually lead into talking with you about it. As first and foremost, feel free to let us know the organization, what you kind of went into Project Xander with the mindset of, and kind of what you got out of, at the very least, your experience with this.
Right, so our participation in Project Xander came about basically, I was assigned to, it wasn't really a discussion, it was hey, there's a new community partnership, there's a pilot, and you're going to be the lead on this. And so here's a meeting, here's a get to know you meeting, and it was a handoff. So it was a learning experience from the get-go. But it has been a learning experience. This is actually now our 3rd semester participating in Project Xander. The first one was really kind of like almost a little bit overwhelming, right? Because we were being approached and told, hey, you have this need that we didn't recognize that we had a need for. So we were being offered a service, an assistance in an area that we didn't recognize that we needed service or assistance. So that's kind of the mind frame that we were coming to this. And as the students worked with us and we conducted an assessment, even just going through the process of filling out that assessment, those were those light bulb and those aha moments and saying, oh, we really do need to be thinking about our security posture. our organization a few years ago, before COVID-19, did a lot more work in paper. When the pandemic hit and we transitioned to working at home, we had to very quickly adopt strategies and technology and tools and software to allow us to work in a fully virtual environment. Now we're working in a hybrid environment, and that comes with its own set of challenges, different tools and resources and things. So we're in this constant practice of adopting new technology. And one thing that we've learned now, I can say we've actually learned this now, is to consider the security risks when we adopt a new tool or take in a new strategy. And we're very grateful as we're getting some new programming, and we're going to be providing web-based services out in the community, that we have a resource like the students in the Project Xander team to help us assess and make recommendations on how we can conduct our work, providing services to our community in a secure way.
Phenomenal. Yeah, great insight on, the whole Project Xander idea, and, understanding that, hey, maybe we actually have security that we need to start to really, hone in on. I'm glad we were able to, at the very least, help out with that, and also be able to help the students as well. As a student, feel free to kind of explain kind of what you've done so far with the Project Xander, and what you as a student have been able to ascertain from actually going through the process of working real life experience.
So first and foremost, I want to say that I really do value my experience with Project Xander. As you're going through the cybersecurity and computer science degrees, you're kind of just learning but not really applying necessarily just yet. But with Project Xander, as we're learning the principles of cybersecurity, as we're learning cyber operations, we're able to readily apply it to these organizations that need our help. And then there's also kind of building that trust with the organization, and also developing those communication skills to be able to let them know, hey, this is something you might want to be working on. And also recognizing that these nonprofits and faith-based organizations, they have really strong values and a really strong mission, and then trying to make sure that their cybersecurity plan is in line with that. Because they might believe everyone is good, but not everyone necessarily is. That being said, I really do appreciate UTSA for having me be a part of Project Xander, and it's awesome to be able to go into interviews and be able to say that I was a part of 2 cybersecurity assessments as an undergrad.
Great. Yeah, phenomenal. I'm glad as a student you've been able to definitely gain, real world experience and skills from that, and a pretty good buffer on a resume as well, right? And this is just one, but of the many projects that UTSA and the NSCC is currently collaborating with.
In these last few minutes, I'd like to ask maybe a little bit more information. Being this program is moving into a national facing opportunity for faith-based nonprofits, can you tell a little bit about some of the progress and the metrics, as well as how much does it cost for someone to be part of this program as a faith-based or a nonprofit? And either yourself or Dr. White can maybe answer that question.
I'll go ahead and take a first cut at that, but there's something, if I may, I also need to mention that I was conducting a number of years ago when we first started a cybersecurity program at UTSA. I had classes of anywhere from like 18 to 22 students or something along those lines. And I was actually conducting some assessments. I'd be able to do assessments on 3 different organizations within the community at that time. Classes aren't that small anymore. And when you get up to 100 plus students in a class, I can't, as the professor, be the mentor for all of those student teams. I don't have enough time to do that. And so we basically sort of dropped this whole assessment thing until MITRE came up basically and volunteered. And this is what makes the Project Xander program work, are the volunteer mentors. So that for each one of the teams in my class, I have a cybersecurity professional from the community. The vast majority of them are from the MITRE Corporation, but there are other individuals, and basically anybody in San Antonio, if you're a cybersecurity professional and you want to be a mentor and help out the students, let us know, because that's what enables this program to work, are the mentors. Because without those mentors, we could not do the program. The professors don't have enough. We have too many students. We have a lot of nonprofit organizations, so we can get the nonprofits. We needed the mentors, and that's what MITRE provided. In terms of the cost, there is absolutely, and you can probably talk about a little bit more about cost, but from the instructor's perspective, because my classes they're involved in these assessments. We're not charging the nonprofits anything. Like I said, they don't have any money for cybersecurity anyway. There is a time commitment. They need to be able to, and I understand time is money, but there's no writing a check to us or to MITRE or to something like that. The assessments for the organizations are free. Now, having said that, MITRE has definitely committed some money to this and in supporting the organization, because they're also doing things like they have labs that they provide to the students, and they've set up a lab environment up at UTSA. They've allowed their employees to take time off from the company to dedicate to the students in this role. So there is a cost to the company, but in terms of the organizations receiving the assessments, no cost. I don't know if you want to comment on that as well, or if I.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually consider it a win-win situation here. The payment, so to speak, from the organizations is to be able to give the students that real world experience that once you actually start to talk to a lot of students, they can spit all kinds of books at you, but if you sit them down in front of a computer and actually perform a specific type of, assessment or a test or a scan or whatever it may be, they may not know the intricacies of where to even start. And this is absolutely something that helps the students on that end. And it's completely free for the nonprofit and faith-based organizations. So they become more secure, at the very least, more secure than what they previously were. And the students get actual real world experience for performing a, bottom up, top down, assessment. So absolutely consider it a win-win.
Yeah.
So as a result of this, your financial information is more secure that you've given to those nonprofit organizations out there.
Thank you very much, guys. It was a great STEAM panel. And before we leave, I just want to point out a couple of the upcoming events here at the National Security Collaboration Center. I mentioned the generator on November 3rd. On November 8th, we have Agility Health. On November 9th, actually just three back-to-back, is our sponsored research panel, which is really involving our people from our Office of Innovation and Commercialization, talking to any industry partner that might want to do research with UTSA or any other research questions. They'll be answering those kinds of things. We also have the AI matrix. I think our previous panel here was talking about artificial intelligence. The Artificial Intelligence Matrix Consortium, which is headed by Dr. Teresa Kadisapiti, will be featuring Robust AI as the company featured speaker Mohammed Amr. Then we, NSCC and everyone in this community will be taking part in the Alamo ACE event coming up at La Cantera Resort. After that, on the 17th, we have Texas A&M's George H.W. Bush Combat Development Complex featuring Ross Weave, the executive director. That's going to be an amazing event there. And then finally, on November 29th, Block Mount, which is featuring Dr. Mina Gurgis. And he's actually going to be presenting the things that's going on with his company there. In December, we have Leidos, which is really another contractor for government, Tara Mui and Dr. John Quarles, talking about the augmented reality type of applications for telemedicine, et cetera. Then we have on December 8th, the Army Research Lab, and that'll be actually invitation only, and it's really talking about some great research that's going on. They have an office in our partner area there on the campus. And then that pretty wraps up for December. But we're always looking for other speakers to collaborate here with UTSA. Go to our booth in the back, let us know who you are, and I'll reach out to you and find out what we can do for you to basically present some of the information that would be helpful to the community. And again, from a national perspective. So it's all about collaboration. And we'll be willing to take any questions now if there's any questions from the audience on regards to the programs from CIAS as well as the Xander initiative Is there any questions? And where's Val? There's Val. Back to you, Val. You want my mic?
Well, thank you again. This has been a very informative panel. Again, I think, the recognition is profound in terms of all the work that has gone into all the programs, especially, from K through 12 all the way through to undergrad and post-grad education. So thank you all. I'm sure if you're hanging around, we'll have questions and we'll take them. So can't wait to see all this in action. So thank you. Great work on the panel.